Yo, what's up? This is Maurice Better Brown, and we are rolling out.
Hey, Rolling Out family. Welcome to another electrifying edition of Rolling Out Music, where sound meets soul and the culture speaks loud. I'm your host, Eddie Precise Lamar, and today we have a very special guest with us. He's a Grammy Award winning trumpeter, composer, and producer who's redefined genre lines with his work in jazz, hip hop, and soul. Whether on stage with Nas, in the studio with Anderson .Paak, or pushing sonic boundaries with his own band, Maurice Better Brown is a force. Let's dive into the story, the grind, and the genius behind the horn. Maurice, welcome to the show. How are you, brother?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to talk to you. Just jump right in. Let's talk about your introduction to music. When did you realize that the trumpet was your voice?
Well, my introduction to music, I started playing trumpet when I was in fifth grade. That's when they introduced you to all the instruments and said, pick an instrument in the room you wanted to play. And I was a natural at trumpet, so I kind of just stuck with that. Before the trumpet, I was playing guitar a little bit. My uncle is pretty well known blues guitarist, singer, Bobby Slim James. So I used to play on his gigs, like go play guitar with him, and he used to teach me that. It wasn't my first instrument, it was a trumpet. It was actually guitar.
Wow. Wow. So you mentioned your uncle. Where's your uncle from?
Chicago, yeah.
Okay. So Chicago and Mississippi are both parts of your story. How have these environments shaped your sound?
Yeah, well, definitely, Chicago and New Orleans connected with the Mississippi River, of course. That's a big part of my sound because once I went down the Mississippi River and went to New Orleans and got a hold of all that and started breathing the same air as, Louis Armstrong and other great trumpeters, Wynton Marsalis and Nicholas Payton, that's when I realized, like, man, I really might have something special because people really gravitated to the way I played, and I was having shows and they were packing out. And I didn't take that lightly because I wasn't a local. Usually they just support the locals.
Mm, Yeah, definitely. So what was your I made it moment in the industry?
It's funny that you asked me that because somebody recently just asked me that. When's the
Mhm.
moment that you knew that you made it? I feel like that I'm so busy all the time, just doing so much great stuff that moment gets topped every other day. Just by
Wow.
living. But I could think one of the pinnacles of my career probably was being a part of Silk Sonic. That was really great with Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars. That was amazing. But like I said, I'm always doing something that's over the top. That's that just always tops the list every day.
You mentioned Soul Sonic, then earlier you mentioned Louis Armstrong and Bradford Marcellus. So from jazz to hip hop to soul, what inspired you to kind of blur these genre lines with the way that you play?
I think what inspired me to kind of blur the genre lines was just being authentic. I really just make music that I like, and those are the genres that I really pick the most from or the most heavily influenced by. So when I write music, I'm just pulling from all that naturally. I'm not trying to do it. It's just how I hear music.
So what's the biggest difference between performing with groups like Silk Sonic versus working solo?
The biggest difference is, well, first of all, it's less of a responsibility on my end. All I gotta do is show up and play trumpet. That's awesome. But it's my gig. I'm responsible for everybody else that's, working with me in the band, making sure that their well-being is taken care of and everyone's comfortable and everyone's getting paid. And it's just a lot more responsibilities, I think. That's the biggest difference.
So how do you go about creating a new project from the spark of an idea to the final mix?
Well, for me, I'm constantly creating as well. I'm not really home a lot, But when I do get
Hmm.
home, I converted my home into a studio, which you can see around me. It's just a studio,
Yeah.
so I can record any idea I have at the moment. All live instruments around me. That's a blessing. I really put that together during the pandemic. I've always had like a home studio, but I made it like a real studio during the pandemic because all the studios were booked up. So
Yeah.
when I have an idea, it's not really hard for me to get it out. First you gotta make it tangible, right? So other people can get the hear the idea that's in your head. So that's the first part of it, getting it out, making some type of demo or notating it, whether it be in your phone or just like recording a vocal melody, whatever it is, so you don't lose the idea. The second part is just executing, making it to, like I said, something tangible that you can actually hand off to someone else to check out from out of your head, trans- transporting it from out of your head into the listener's ear. So that happens when you go to the studio and lay it down. So that's what I go. I go down and just like I make so many. I'm sitting on like 5 records right now. It's crazy.
Hey, I need to hear some of those, man. So let me open up the vault, man. Share some of them.
Yeah, the first single about to drop June 20th off the new album. The latest album's entitled the upcoming album is entitled Better Days. Play off my name Mo Better. So Betta Better Days. I'm really excited about that. So that's gonna come out August 29th. Yeah.
Can you share the name of the single again? You said Better Days is the name of
That's the name of the album. The name of the single is Free.
Okay, okay. Now, you've been in this industry, you've had some highs. I'm sure you've had some lows. What's the hardest lesson you've learned on your journey as an artist?
I think the hardest lesson I've learned on my journey as an artist is to take the good with the bad. Like you said, I've been in this industry and I've had some highs and I've had some lows, and neither of those define you. So you can't get too caught up in your successes or in your failures. You got to just keep it moving and learn from everything. Everything's a learning lesson, and that's how I look at life. Like I just do the best I could do, give 110% every day. The only person I'm in competition with is myself when I look in the mirror. So I just got to be better than I was yesterday. Then that's an improvement to me.
Indeed. How would you describe your playing style?
I would describe my playing style as very seductive, soulful, honest, fun, joyful, and direct.
Yes.
Clarity. I have a lot of clarity, and I also try to play what makes my style really special and a lot different from most trumpeters is that I approach the music more from a vocal standpoint. So I try in my mind, I'm hearing it when I'm playing. I'm hearing like I'm singing, like a singer, like a vocalist, or like I'm rapping. I'm That's my delivery when I'm playing the trumpet. That's my attitude, and I think it comes out that way. Really, the listeners really connect to it and can understand what I'm what I'm trying to say or convey at the moment.
Indeed, definitely. You mentioned that you're not home a lot, you're on the road traveling. What's one thing you wish more people understood about the life of a working musician?
One thing I wish that people would understand more about the life of a working musician is that, you know, people think it's like, oh, you're just having fun, you're traveling all over the world, you don't have a care in the world. And it's actually the opposite of that. Like I'm definitely having fun doing what I'm doing, and it's a blessing to be able to, make a living doing what you love to do. But
Hmm.
to be steady, uprooted from your place of your sanctuary, your home where you recharge, like to not be able to do that often is a give and take. So you have to you have to choose which one you want. For me personally, I'm okay at this time in my life to be not home like that.
Hmm.
Last year I was home for 3.5 weeks the whole year. The year before it was 4 weeks the whole year. And this year is not much different so far. So I'm just, like I said, I'm grateful, and I've always believed in take care of the music and the music take care of you.
You know, so how do you take care of yourself? Like in those moments where you're not making music, or creating? What do you do in that downtime? Like, what do you do for your self care?
I mean, as far as self care, I try to get in some meditation as much as I can. I was trained in meditation because I'm a black belt, third degree black belt in Taekwondo, so I meditate often. And coming up, it was definitely helped me a lot to be self disciplined in order to like get to the root of this instrument and this music, to try to understand it better, to be patient with myself, and just to know that the more I practice it, the better it would get. So even though I was a natural, it's still like once I started practicing, that's when everything went to another level. Because I was taking it for granted that trumpet was easy for me as far as like making a note or conveying a feeling through it. But once I realized there was other things I needed to do, I had weaknesses that I wasn't practicing. So I started practicing on my weaknesses, and that's when I got better. Like I could tell, I could feel and hear the difference.
Mhm. You just mentioned that you're a third degree black belt in Taekwondo. So
Yeah,
you make hits and ain't nobody rushing your stage.
I know ain't nobody rushing the stage or no stage that I'm on.
Right now we're in an interesting time, right? It's 2025. This political climate we have right now here is crazy. Why is black music more important now in these times than ever?
Well, I feel like black music is more important in these times than ever because historically speaking, black music has always been the music of the people, the music of the streets. The griots of the streets would tell the tale of what was going on. And when people were at their lowest, we would always have certain entertainers come to make certain songs that would give us the theme song to give us the confidence and the steam to rise to the occasion. And I feel like that's what we need right now. And that's pretty much the mission right now. That's my single is entitled "Free," and that's basically what it's talking about. Like you got to be free to be what you want to be, and just stay focused and don't listen to the riffraff, the rigmarole. Just keep it moving, and I think you're bound to have great outcome if you stay focused. Don't get distracted.
Yes, yes. So you got a gig coming up here in Chicago at Garcia Chicago on the 13th.
Oh
What
yeah.
can the people expect from you at that show?
Well, you can expect to have a good time, that's for sure. And I'm gonna show up with an awesome band. I got Mike Mitchell, aka Black Dynamite, coming in on drums. He's a monster. Joe Cleveland on the bass, holding the bottom down. Taka Zimakawa on keys, coming in from New York, from Japan to New York. It's gonna be great. And the great Isaiah Sharkey on guitar and vocal. So I mean, and I got a bunch of special guests pulling up, and Jay Ivy said he was gonna come through, and a bunch of people. So I feel
Oh,
like it's gonna be.
that's Grammy Award winning Jay Ivy.
That's right, Grammy Award winning Jay Ivy. I produced on two of those records that he got a Grammy on, so I'm fortunate enough to be a part of those projects as well.
Man, what
Chicago in the house.
yeah, Chicago's in the building, man. What do you think it is about Chicago that Chicago produces a specific type of artist? And this isn't to say that Chicago's better or whatever, but I think there's a specific type of soul and approach that a Chicago artist has that is able to be consumed worldwide. Why do you think that is?
I'm not sure. That's a great question. I mean, I just know Chicago's a real ass place we come from, and people tend to lean towards people that are more authentic, right? So I don't know a lot of fake people from Chicago. Like they they pretty much comfortable in their own skin. People from Chicago, and they kind of take that all over the world with. So I think that translates through the music.
Yes, yes. So what can fans expect next from the upcoming tours? You mentioned a couple new releases or any side projects you have coming up.
Man, I guess fans can finally expect me to drop this new music. The last project I dropped was I did a Christmas album, Mo Better Christmas. So make sure y'all check that out when the holiday time comes. I'm gonna probably make a volume series out of that and keep adding songs to it because I really wanted to do a Christmas album. That was something, a goal of mine, and I was home for like 1 week out of that 3.5 weeks, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go on vacation. I was like, no, let's just make a Christmas record. So I made it. So that's
Record in
what's
a
up.
week.
Yeah, I made it in a week. I only had a week to be home to do it before I had to go back out. And so I just rushed it out real quick, and I was surprised that it was such a good response to it because I didn't do any promo or anything on it. I just literally just put it out. But every time I went out, people were like, "Oh, that was the best Christmas record." Like all my friends were listening to it. People were telling me a bunch of messages online. All walks of life of people listening to this Christmas record. So I was like, "That's great," because I feel like there's a lot of Christmas music, but it's either like really, really happy, like too happy, too soulful. It's like the Jackson Fives or something. I don't know. There's like just regular music that's Christmas music that you can kind of play all throughout the year and not be like out of pocket, you know. So that was the whole goal for me. So let me just make some good songs and put the Christmas vibe in it. So that went off well.
That's beautiful for some timeless music. Some timeless.
Yeah, that's what I'm about. Hopefully, hopefully that's how people see it. I'm about pushing the boundaries, but I definitely want to make timeless music. And I think that's the goal that I accomplished on this latest record, Better Days. I'm so excited about it. I got Manu Neon on there, Black Dynamite, Marcus Gilmore, Kamasi Washington, Ray Khalil,
Ray
Chelsea
Khalil,
Everett,
boy, yo,
Omar
I
from
can't
the
wait to
UK. I mean, it's going down. This
Omar.
Yeah, J Ivy. It's a fully packed album. Tomoki Sanders on sax as well. Yeah, I mean Wheaties on the djembe, Pedrito Martinez on percussion, Sema Funk on the vocals. It's just like a celebration of life, like and very uplifting record. So I can't wait for everybody to dig into that. Irene Blackman, Don Blackman's daughter, she's singing on it. So it's a whole vibe.
Yo, invite me to the Grammy party, bro.
That part, yeah, for sure. You know it's
Remember,
gonna be one.
we're recording this. Invite me to the Grammy party for that joint because
Sure.
it's
Yeah, I'm definitely hyped about it, man. It's so much cool stuff going on right now, and like I'm just like it's so hard to stay focused. Like I said, that's the key to everything. Because I leave Chicago tomorrow. I was gonna go today, but I'm leaving tomorrow. I got to do some interviews there, the news performance, and then we do the show. And I come back
Mhm.
home to New York. That's Tribeca Film Festival. There's a film I'm in with Anderson, his new film. So that's on Saturday. And then Monday, I'm off to Cannes in France to go do shows, and then Paris. And I'm in Tokyo at the Blue Note Tokyo for like 3, 4 nights there with my band. Then I go to Indonesia, opening up a jazz club out there. So I go to check on that. Then I'm gonna take a week off there just to relax in Indonesia, and I won't be back here till like July
Oh,
12th.
I don't. Wait, you mentioned something I don't want to skip by. You say you're opening up a jazz club in Indonesia. What inspired that?
Yeah, well, I've been to Indonesia about 13 times now. I've been there a lot playing Java Jazz Festivals, one of the biggest jazz festivals in the world. So I really grew to love the people of Indonesia, the food, the culture, and wanted to have a footprint there. And I got approached about having my own jazz club there. I jumped on it. I said, yeah, that would be amazing. So it's been in the works for like the last year and a half. And now we finally got the locations that we're going to do it. So, and the equipment that we need, all that stuff. So I'm going out to oversee all that right now. We're not doing a grand opening yet, but going to make sure, everything's in place. And part of that deal with me, that club, I have to spend more time in Indonesia. So I'll be out there probably like 3 to 6 times a year anyway, just to check on the club and do performances and stuff like that. Which is you don't really have to twist my arm too hard to get back to Indonesia.
Did you come up with a name for the club yet?
But we going back and forth right now. Like I haven't solidified the name yet, but we got three solid ones that I'm leaning towards. I don't want to say it right now, just in case you know how that go. But yeah, it's I'm really excited about it.
Well, speaking of names, Mo Better, where did that come from?
Well, my first name was Maurice Chi Brown. So that's what these call me. Chi Brown, Maurice Chi Brown. Everywhere. Especially when I went to New Orleans, that's when they were calling me that. And out of nowhere, somebody had called me Mo Better. That's because Mo Better Blues, it was coming out. And it was like, Mo Better. And I was like, oh, I like that. And then Mo Better. And it just kind of caught. Like, people were calling me that. They chose that to be my name before I did. And next thing I know, people was like, more better, more better. I was like, you know what? I like that. Then I ran with it.
Hey, well, it definitely sticks, brother. Brother Maurice Mo Better Brown, thank you for pulling up and having this conversation with me, brother. I
Thank you for
appreciate
having me,
you.
bro.
Yeah, definitely. Your journey is a masterclass in staying rooted and reaching beyond and accomplishing your goals. And it's a wonder to watch, brother.
Thank you so much, Eddie.
Yes, yes. To our Rolling Out Music family, thank you for locking in with us. Go see Maurice after he travels the world on Friday, June 13th at Garcia, Chicago. Doors open at 6 p.m. Get your tickets. This is your man, Eddie Precise Lamar. And as I always say, stay focused, positive, and productive. Peace.